We've got more from yesterday's voter fraud hearing in North Andros.
Vote where you live.
The PLP travels to San Salvador and Cat Island. A man is shot after he reportedly escapes police custody. And the Bahamian heads to Miami Fashion Week.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited.
I'm Nikia DeVoe, and this is NB12 Weekend. Thanks for spending your Saturday evening with us. The challenge to 30 people registered to vote in North Andros appears to have worsened divisions in that Family Island community and angered some residents. Arcandia Dames, who was in North Andros yesterday for the start of a hearing into that matter, takes a further look at how residents feel about what is unfolding.
This, of course, is political season, and as with communities across the Bahamas, there exists some divisions here. Some say very deep divisions. And depending on who you ask, of course, there are differing opinions on how people here feel about the challenges that are being made to some people who are registered to vote in this constituency.
Among FNMs, there is obvious support for the challenges being made to 30 people registered in North Andros who are accused of being illegally registered. But some PLPs view the exercise as a complete waste of time.
This is a disgrace to Andros today because this is the first time something like this has ever happened. All I could say, Mr. Bannister is running scared, and that's why he bring all of this in here today. But he will see the results after the bell done ring and election is called. And he will know just how stupid or how crazy Andros people is.
But others like Billy Evans and Cassandra Fowler, who support the FNM, think the exercise is important to create a clean register.
I feel like if you ain't a resident of North Andros, you shouldn't have been voting in North Andros. So that's my whole input on it. I think it should be fair. If you don't live in here, you just shouldn't come in and register and then come back to vote. I think it's unfair.
My concern is that it's now time for North Androsians who live here to make decisions for North Andros. We are tired of the PLP flying in people here every general election who does not live here to make decisions for us, where we have to live under the terrible administration that we've been having for years. For 5 years we've been going through. Every 5 years they bring in people to vote here who doesn't live here. It is now time for us who lives in North Andros to make these decisions. Our voice today is now saying, vote where you live.
Community leader Alfonso Smith sees the exercise as a wonderful display of democracy in action. He was one of several people who took to the witness stand yesterday.
I understand that persons have been registering who shouldn't have been registered yet, but actually in my mind I think this is something that's countrywide. You know, in Andros, where the voting poll is less than 2,000 voters, one can look at a register and figure out who's from here, who's not from here. But areas like New Providence, where you got 6,000 voters in a constituency or 5,000 voters, there perhaps hundreds, maybe even thousands that fall in the same category. So you know this is great, and I think this should continue throughout the country.
Around the courthouse yesterday, FNM and PLP supporters got into debates over what was unfolding and also over which party is best to govern their community at this time.
Some of you have been suffering for the last four and a half years under the FNM government. The FNM government provided no jobs to feed you all.
Let me tell you something.
No job they provided.
When I couldn't vote, the PLP was in power. I could see now I could vote. I voted FNM. The PLP was in power when they had the whole government. They ain't do nothing.
Although under law, voters themselves have mounted the challenges. Some residents blame FNM candidate Desmond Bannister for what they see as totally unnecessary. Outside the court, this woman had this message for Bannister.
Mr. Bannister called our old people geriatric patients. Well, you tell him in North Andros, this what old people is do. We cut you behind. Tell him you're done. awarded. When we finish, I would be grateful if you'll get your deposit. But honey, you tell them I say it's over.
Now, as we reported last night, North Andros Administrator Huntley Christie heard testimony from a man who said he lives on East Street in New Providence with his wife, but has a home in North Andros, which he said he visits most weekends. He said he voted in North Andros in previous elections and previously supported the F&M. The man's own cousin, however, an F&M supporter, told the court he does not live in North Andros. As we indicated last night, this matter has been put off to next Friday.
Now, many of the people we spoke to told us that they're quite anxious to get this process over with and for election to be called and the vote taken so that they can move on. Reporting from North Andros for NB12, I'm Candea Dames.
Now, we did not reveal the name of that registered voter who testified because Administrator Christie has ordered that the name of the 30 people being challenged not be made public. Incumbent MP for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, Philip Brave Davis, is hoping to extend his 15-year run. During his two-day campaign tour throughout his constituency, Davis told supporters that if the Progressive Liberal Party is elected as the next government, he will work to ensure that they get what he says has been long overdue. Charisma Robinson tagged along on that tour and filed this report.
The Progressive Liberal Party's deputy leader, Philip Brave Davis, has been the member of parliament for the Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador constituency for 15 years now. And heading into the 2012 general election, Davis is urging his constituents not to flip the script. At the PLP's constituency office opening on the island of San Salvador Thursday evening, Davis told a crowd of supporters not to let anyone else get between them. Someone like his opponent, Free National Movement Senator Michael Pintard, who he says has ran up and down the Bahamas trying to find a constituency to contest.
Why should you trust him when just a few months ago he was all over the Bahamas, in New Providence, Grand Bahama, trying to find a seat to run? He didn't make up his mind, to run here. He was told that if he wants to run, he got to go there. The man can't be serious. San Salvador. As I said, I ain't no driftwood.
Davis also promised that if his party wins the next government, he would work to ensure that San Salvador students get their new primary and high school built. Children on the island have been forced to work out of trailers for some time. Not only that, Davis also promised to complete a low-cost housing subdivision that was allegedly canceled by the F&M administration. During a tour of the island early Thursday, reporters were taken to the Cockburn Town settlement where 10 foundations were laid. But according to Davis, who started the project about 5 years ago, when the F&M took office, it promised to complete the housing project, but never did. In fact, he says the F&M government has not built any new housing subdivisions for San Salvadorians in its term.
These are serious times, and the times are too serious for us to be playing games. The stakes are high, too high, and the costs are too real. The simple truth is that every day under this F&M government, the hope of attaining the Bahamian dream drifts further and further away.
PLP leader Perry Christie also addressed residents of the island. He promised that he and Davis would work together to hire Bahamian contractors to construct and repair their roads and docks. He says they would also work to increase Bahamian ownership within the tourism industry.
I say we're going to hire Bahamian contractors using Bahamian workers. We're going to double our nation's investment in education and training, and we are going to create career path academies so Bahamians have access to vocational and technical training and apprenticeships.
And then Davis and his colleagues were off to the next stop.
Cat Island was the second stop for Davis on his campaign travel throughout his constituency. Scores of PLP supporters gathered in Arthurstown Friday evening to hear what their representative had to say.
And there it was pretty much the same message, but this time the incumbent member of parliament blasted the F&M government for neglecting the island following the devastation of Hurricane Irene, and promised that if his party wins the next government, Cat Islanders will get what's due to them.
Trust me when I tell you that they don't care about you. Cat Island, I know you remember Hurricane Irene. You can't forget it. 7 months later, the roads are still tore up. The schools are still damaged. Right. Many homes are still in shambles. Right. The clinic in Smiths Bay is closed and a complete mess. The clinic in Orange Creek still needs repairs. The administrator's office in Adlerstown is still a disaster. The morgue has been inoperable since last August. And after months and months of agitating, they have finally fixed the roof at the Bight Airport just in time for elections. Trust me, that ain't no coincidence.
But Davis's promises was not only heard by Cat Islanders. His opponent, Michael Pintard, made an unwanted appearance at the rally.
Persons who wear yellow, who wear red, they're all our people. All people. And it's always useful to hear what the point of view is of the other side. My headquarters is only a stone's throw away. It's always useful to come and hear how you are being characterized and whether or not others like you are sharing the issues that make a difference in people's lives. We'll have an opportunity in a short while to lay out our vision, and I'm looking forward to it.
Christie said the FNM candidate does not threaten him one bit. He urged Cat Islanders to vote his deputy leader back in.
The PLP's nationwide constituency office openings continues in Grand Bahama tonight and in the Fox Hill constituency on Monday. Reporting for NB12, I'm Charisma Robinson.
Well, the PLP also says the government isn't being upfront about the New Providence Road Improvement Project, and it's calling for a national investigation apart from the one conducted by the Public Accounts Committee of the House of Assembly into what opposition members call the mismanagement of one of the largest infrastructural projects in the country's history. Paige Ferguson has more.
With no completion date actually set, the New Providence Road Improvement Project continues to remain at the center of national and political debate, and the Progressive Liberal Party is again criticizing the government's management of the project and what it calculates as a $93 million overrun. The PLP is of the belief that those millions of dollars could have been better spent on the Bahamian public if the project were better planned. The party said a project that was supposed to be an economic stimulus has turned out to be a job and business killer for many Bahamians, with the work now expected to continue into 2013. Some PLP MPs say there's no end in sight.
We're told in that same report that the $206 million, which the Prime Minister indicated in the House of Assembly would be the total cost overrun, would be the total cost of the project, with some $93 million in additional funding needed, that in fact it may cost even more than the $206 million. Now, this really is beginning to impress upon the PLP and its supporters that there needs to be some formal inquiry, not the independent inquiry that the Prime Minister talked about. There needs to be a formal inquiry as to what this is all about, because this is proving to be quite a nightmare.
Fox Hill Member of Parliament Fred Mitchell said the fact that it will now cost the government in excess of $206 million when the project was originally pegged to only cost about $113 million begs the question of who's benefiting most from the NPRIP.
It raises the issue of where has the money gone and into whose pocket has the money gone.
Elizabeth Member of Parliament Ryan Pinder said the Free National Movement government has shown no sign of remorse for what it has put the Bahamian people through.
Many of the about faces of the Prime Minister are as a result of what is in the IDB report. So he clearly knew and was aware of what the IDB was going to say.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Paige Ferguson.
The United States Embassy in Nassau is warning Americans living in and traveling to New Providence to be aware of recent reports of robberies tied to staged vehicle accidents in the capital. The embassy said Thursday that there have been reports in the local media of criminals using the staged accidents as a ruse to rob the driver and passengers of their possessions. It adds that there is no indication that U.S. citizens are specifically being targeted for these crimes, but they encourage their citizens to be vigilant. The embassy also warned U.S. citizens that if they're being followed, not to go home or go to their hotel, and recommended that those involved in accidents take pictures of the scene for their records. Police didn't offer any comment when asked about the reports of robberies at staged vehicle accidents.